Have you ever wondered if you might have lived a lifetime sometime before this one? Or have you ever wondered what happens on the other side of death? Or whether anything happens at all? If you've asked yourself questions like this, believe me, you're not alone. Hi, I'm Pamela Davis, and I'm the creator and producer of the Reincarnation Chronicle. I'm also an investigative transformationalist, exploring life's great questions. And believe me, reincarnation is one of mankind's greatest questions. I bet you didn't know that worldwide there are far more people who believe in reincarnation than those who don't. So I invite you to join me as I put together a documentary, gathering information throughout our history and all over the world, dealing with reincarnation, looking into what it means in our lives, why it matters, why it is really so important to us. But first, let's consider some statistics. According to some of the most prestigious research and polling services such as Gallup and Pew, somewhere between 24 to 27% of the American people do believe in some form of reincarnation, and that would be regardless of their religious affiliation. And those statistics tend to hold true throughout the UK and Europe. And around the world, millions of Catholics with their mystical traditions quietly embrace reincarnation, even though it has no basis in their religious doctrine. So what this means to us in the West is that approximately 1 out of 4 people walking around believes that we have each lived on earth before and will live again in future lifetimes. And of course, reincarnation is fundamental to most of the Asiatic religions, which are subscribed to by hundreds of millions of people. In fact, every place on the planet where you find people living, you will find a long-standing belief in reincarnation, also sometimes known as the transmigration of souls or metempsychosis. So why is it that over countless centuries so many people have believed and continue to believe that they've lived before? Well, maybe it's because reincarnation answers so many difficult questions. I've jotted down a few so that we'll go over them together. Don't want to forget anything for you. Why do we have the families that we do? How do we end up in families that are either happy and supportive, or sometimes families that are absolute nightmares? What explains this? Why are some people born with handicaps and disabilities while others seem to be endowed with marvelous gifts? Take composers like Mozart, for example, whose gifts as a composer and a genius were obvious when he was still just a toddler. Was it an accident that he was born to a father who was well-placed, a composer and a musician who could be so instrumental in developing his talent? I mean, really, is this just a coincidence that happened? Why do some people have crippling and irrational fears that seem to have no basis in their life experience, or at least in this lifetime? And how is it that many people know from early childhood what it is they want to do or be when they grow up? Why are we born into a particular racial group? Why are we irresistibly drawn sometimes to certain kinds of music or places or foods that seem to have no connection with our life experience or background? And here's a big one. Why is it that we meet certain people we instantly feel as though we've known before, as though we're reconnecting with an old friend, just one that we haven't seen for a long time? This happens to many of us more than once in a lifetime. And similarly, how is it that we sometimes meet people who instantly inspire a feeling of dislike or dread or even horror for no apparent reason at all? Sometimes it happens that people visit a place for the first time and find that it's so familiar that it's as though they've lived there before and they know their way around. But I'm talking about a kind of intimate familiarity that never comes from a guidebook or travel logs. And what about the deep anxieties or obsessions that no amount of talk therapy can ever resolve? So we'll be looking at questions like these and many more in the weeks and months to come. And I'll be sharing fascinating and eye-opening information on reincarnation with you that just might transform your worldview, change your life even. So be sure to join me and subscribe to my Reincarnation Chronicle YouTube channel, where you're going to be receiving alerts every time I post a new video on reincarnation. I look forward to seeing you soon.